this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
When you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
Good morning and welcome to a very special day. Well, it's a bright day, it's a cool day. This is Global Morning on Global Television, and I am Ramsey Enoch. Thank you very much for joining us today. This is Monday, the first working day of the week. A lot of people are not going to work anymore, except for those of us who are essential workers that needs to be here so that you can be kept abreast of everything happening around the globe. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for making it all through with us from January until now, and we are still on the move. It's a great day. One very specific thing that have not really gone down well since just for a few days now is the issue of stampede. The stampede is not just happening in Lagos State, and not just in, like we used to know before. Now it used to be Lagos State, we just hear about it maybe briefly, but now it's happening in Ibadan. We heard how many people died. That's not just all. In Anambra State, it happened too. Then coming to the FCT, it's happening. That FCT was because of palliative that was being shared, and the same thing with other places. And you begin to think about it, and you keep wondering, is this how hungry Nigerians are? You look at it from both sides of the coin, and you begin to wonder, why should this even happen? Is it that there were no people to control the crowd? How big was the crowd that will be beyond control? Then you begin to look at it from the other side of the coin. Is it that the people were not really patient? Because one of the things that really results to the stampede most times is the fact that people are not patient enough to wait for their turn. People rushing, and before you know, somebody's on the ground, and people are working on the person, and we have a lot going on right now. Well, it's so bad, it's so pathetic, and of course we want to sympathize with the families that have lost their loved ones, and want to say, may the soul of the faithful departed rest in peace. What about those traveling for Christmas? Just like a joke, Christmas is here. And well, this is one event that you can't do anything about. You can't postpone it. You can't say the economy is challenging, so let's postpone Christmas, or let's postpone Salah. Or these are events that you can't postpone. These are events that must happen, and that's exactly what is going on right now. So amazing. I was telling someone, I said, we never knew. I personally didn't know that people were going to travel like this. The number of people traveling is so much. But then the price of fare is something else. Did you watch that video where people were rushing into an airplane at the airport? The way people rush into the bus, the same way they were rushing. And I watched it and I was like, hey, come on, Nigerians, what's happening? What is this? You know, that's to tell you that people are eager. This time of the year, a lot of people want to see their loved ones. A lot of people fix events this period. Some persons are traveling because it is unavoidable. They can't. There's nothing they would have done about it. Maybe an incident. Maybe there's a loved one that needs to be buried. There's a meeting that happens once in a year, probably, and can't be missed. All this put together results to the reason why some persons are traveling. Even though you can't take away the fact that some persons are traveling just for pleasure. Yeah, you can't take that away. Some are traveling out of the country just for pleasure, to meet with their family, to celebrate, and all of that. All this put together is just to let you know that this is the season. Is there any good news about this season? Yeah. How much is fuel in your location? How much is fuel? There is a drop in price. Someone is saying, hey, Ramsey, what are you talking about? Drop, are you talking about that little amount that was dropped? It means something. It means something. It means we are getting somewhere gradually, because even NNPC, Dangote started it, all right? And now NNPC is also reducing the price of fuel, the price of commodity. There is a little reduction, no matter how little it is. It means, unlike before, some persons were even expecting it to go higher, but then there is a reduction. What I feel is, no matter how little that reduction is, we should be grateful, all right? We should be grateful and just think positively, believing that the price will still drop. Okay, I think we need to give kudos to the government. It's not all the time you come out to blame government. Sometimes we need to clap for the government too, the authorities. And that's to let you know that the authorities are not sleeping over the hardship, the things going on right now in Nigeria. It is still Global Morning, and once again, I want to say a very special welcome to this Monday's edition. I'm going on a quick break. After this break, we'll return, and it will be time for us to look at the pages of the National Daily. So much there for you. At least before you go browsing, I need to let you know about the star stories before you can even go look for it to get the details of those stories. And that will be after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is a Global Morning on this very beautiful day. I'm so excited. No, maybe because of the Christmas, I'm going to be here, all right? I'm celebrating my Christmas right here because you deserve to know what's going on around. You know, as you're celebrating, we are busy bringing you the news and current affair back to back with the discussions following. Don't forget that after the newspaper review for this morning, we will also have two discussions today. And don't forget that after the discussion, we will be coming with sport. After the sport, business will be coming on your way. After business, we will also have so many. And don't forget that the AM news is going to be coming live at 8 a.m. That is the first news for the day. You need to be informed. Now to the national dailies, beginning from the Punch newspaper. On the Punch newspaper this morning, I have some very punchy headlines, and I'll be starting with the Star Story. I love the Star Stories all the time. I love starting with the Star Story. The Star Story says the states list tough conditions for palliative distribution, and that's the reason the stampede. Majority of the stampedes that we have is emanating from the sharing distribution of palliative. So it's so good that states list tough conditions for palliative distribution. But one of the negative aspects of it is the fact that some persons who voluntarily would have given out palliative for the season might not be able to meet these conditions. And if you are not able to meet the condition, instead of having more stampede, it's better to just hold it back. All right. Just a writer to that story, and the writer says organizers must secure permit, provide medical team, ambulances, security, others. Insist governors, state governors are the ones saying this. If you must share palliatives, you need to have medical teams on ground in case anything happens. We're not saying something is going to happen, but then you need to have security operatives on ground in case anything happens. But then we're not saying something is going to happen. All the same, let's quickly look at all the stories from the Punch newspaper this morning. And just beside the nameplate, why governors demanded further talks on tax bills, coming from Makinde. Details of that you can actually find on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Above the nameplate, how terrorists smuggled Libya gun truck into Zamfara. This is bad. What's happening to our border? How porous is our border? How porous is our border? You know, majority of this thing is happening. The insecurity situations that we have, sometimes you can attribute it to carelessness to an extent. Look at this. Terrorists smuggled Libya gun truck into Zamfara. This complaint is coming from the federal government. So what's happening to our border? Where did they pass? How did they get into Nigeria? These are questions that we should be asking. And who are behind this terrorism? Who are they? All right, I think we pray. We are praying. It's a serious prayer that this festive period, as people are traveling, there shouldn't be attacks on the highway. You know, there shouldn't be terrorist attack. There shouldn't be banditry and all of that. That's the desire and the wish of every average Nigerian right now. And more headlines still coming from the Punch newspaper this morning. This one says, okay, that was the first good news that I shared. Petrol to sell at 935 naira per litre from today. This is coming from Ipman, as against the 1,000 plus that it was being sold. And this price varies from one fueling station to another. But then if this can be implemented across board, it's going to be fine. Unlike the people in the north will tell you, well, we transported all the way from Lagos State, so our price can't be the same. But then, if the regulatory body can do it such that the price can be across board, this price reduction can be across board, it will go a long way helping Nigerians, especially now that people are traveling. More headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning. A travelers battle on ending price hike ahead of Christmas. Price hike. Talking about to the markets today, those people that go shopping. The shopping is going on. Yeah, it's going on. But then it is not like the way it used to be. The malls are not as full as it used to be. You may see people, there are people there, but I will tell you, you can take that to the market, take it to the bank, that the level of patronages this year, you can find out from the malls. You will discover that it's not like the way it used to be. I know of a mall, a major mall in FCT that even shut down one of their big branches because there was no patronage. Okay, but then I think the hiking price is something else. They will tell you, if we don't hike this price, how then do we make our money back? But then we need to be considerate, right? We need to be considerate not to make excess profit at the expense of struggling Nigerians. Then more still coming from the Punch newspaper this Monday morning. This one says, police deny killing hunger protesters, demand amnesty apology. That's on page 8. Government approves recruitment of 3,927 customs officer. This one says a federal government 50% transport reduction scheme may begin Tuesday. 50% transport reduction scheme may start on Tuesday. The federal government is trying. We're not taking that away. At least if the government is doing something, we should also applaud the government. I was saying yesterday that there is going to be provision of buses, all right, to ease movement this period by the federal government. We want to see all these things translate into reality. Then, not just rolling out buses. Who is supervising it? Okay, the carelessness of some people. We know that even in FCT here, we have these long buses that is being used for shuttle. But then, the way they are being managed, if you go to where they park them, you see a lot of them not functioning today, probably because they were not managed well. So, if these buses are going to be rolled out this season, the CNG buses, there should be proper arrangement for the buses to be properly taken care of. Very important. All right, that's a good one from the federal government, as the federal government's 50% transport reduction scheme may begin Tuesday. All right, that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning, as we take you to the next point of call, which is the Blueprint. The Blueprint newspaper for this morning have some very big stories. This one says Idris Commission's legacy project connects Malagi village to national grid. Social amenity. Power is one very important thing in Nigeria here. Business, that's the kicker. NURTW touts sell cash to POS operators as scarcity bites. Cash scarcity is one other thing again. I don't know why these dramas keep unfolding when it is December. You know, the last time that I checked, it was a cash crunch, okay, Naira redesign that made money very scarce, that people were buying money. Same thing repeating itself again this year. But then, I think we should take caution. If you're selling cash, we should be careful. Cash is not meant to be sold. But then, when it is scarce, what would you do? When you're pressed and you need this money to meet one or two needs, what will you do? You wouldn't have any option, all right, than to go ahead and dance to the tune of the music. But then, something needs to be done. The Central Bank of Nigeria has given out instruction as the mother bank to commercial banks that money should be made available to customers this festive period and henceforth. But then, we're not seeing this translate into anything reasonable, as a matter of fact. A sport. Chan Eagles hold Ghana in Accra. That was a beautiful one. A Chan Eagle hold Ghana, right, in Accra. That is playing at home, okay, and you are holding the host. It's commendable. Now to the big story, which is the star story on the Blueprint newspaper this morning, and it says our federal government Omokri caution against politicizing incidents. Shetima assures support. Some riders to that story. The first rider say, please confirm 22 dead in Anambra, Buhari, Wike, Soludo, console families. Then the second rider says, Ondo issues directives on crowd control. Or your government permitted Agidigbo FM to use school. Old students are the ones saying that. You can find the details of these stories on page 19 of the Blueprint newspaper. Then to the right-hand side of the Blueprint newspaper, you have this one which says, Northern Christian leaders back tax reform bills, says it's biblical. Okay? Tax is biblical? Well, we need to check that out. 5 years after, federal government lifts ban on mining exploration in Zamfara State. That's another story on the Blueprint newspaper, and just one ride to that story, and the rider says security operations resulted in neutralization of bandit commanders. This is coming from Alake, and that's commendable. Then more stories still coming from the Blueprint newspaper this morning, where I have this one saying North, an asset, not liability to Nigeria. Ndume declares North is an asset and not a liability to Nigeria. This is coming from Ndume. All right, Ndume is the one declaring that. Port Harcourt refinery fully operational. NNPCL clarifies. You know, even I saw it in one of the papers that after spending so much on the Port Harcourt refinery, it stopped working. But then I think a day or so, there was another news, another story again to counter that first story that Port Harcourt Refinery is working. All we are saying is that Port Harcourt Refinery should work. Not just Port Harcourt Refinery. Nigerians are looking for when the Warri Refinery will start working, the Kaduna Refinery will start working, so that the people in the north will not have to transport all the way from Lagos, all right, to take the product to the north, which will, whether you like it or not, affect the price of the commodity. So that will be a good one if the Kaduna Refinery is working to serve the north. Then that of Port Harcourt working to serve the south and north central probably. Then that of Warri also working. It's going to go a long way helping Nigerians. Then this one says fuel to sell at 935 naira per litre. That's from today, Monday, coming from Ipman. I already took that story earlier, and it's a good one. It's a welcome development. Let's see how all of that is going to work out. End bad governance protests just above the nameplate. Please neglect AI report. Demand apology. And that's going to be the size of the blueprints of the stories from the Blueprints newspaper this morning as we get to our next point of call. Our next point of call this morning will be the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, we have a lot of stories making rounds. And one of the star stories this morning on the Nigerian Tribune says, Tinubu's reforms not responsible for stampedes. Federal government tackles PDP and others. We have some riders to that story, and I will be taking the riders. As PDP blames Tinubu, it's a reflection of hunger in the land. Obi and Omokri. Then this one says, Obi calls out, Omokri calls out Obi. Falana heads to court as 105 killed in palliative stampedes, all right, in 32 months. Then this writer says that safeguarding children in crowded gatherings, not negotiable. This is coming from PAN, that's P-A-N. Then this one says Buhari can, others mourn, states roll out crowd control measures. I already told you about that, where you will need to have medical teams on ground, have the ambulance, you also have security operatives and a whole lot of other things. If you must distribute palliative this season to avert this stampede, we've had it happen in Ibadan, Oyo State. It has happened in Anambra State. It has happened at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. But then it's better for it not to happen in other parts of the country. But then there is one truth that you can't take away, and that's the fact that Nigerians are hungry. But then if you're hungry, you also need to be patient. You also need to do things orderly. Orderliness is very important. One of the reasons why we have these situations is because people are not patient enough. I was discussing with a colleague before I came live on air that one of the reasons why these things happen is because the fear of, will it get to me? All right. Someone will want to struggle thinking it will not get to them. And at the end of the day, we're having stampede because there is a rush. Now, the governors are given conditions. If you must give out palliatives, these are the things that you must do. I'm just thinking, I don't know who is at the losing end right now. Is it the people that have refused to be patient? Is it the people that are sharing the palliatives? These are the things we need to put together. But then, this is to let us know that the federal government cannot do everything, right? The federal government cannot do everything. The federal government is trying, giving out palliative in their own capacity. Then individuals who are doing it, and now there is stampede. I don't think this is a good one. If you have the opportunity to get an access, all right, please, if you gain access anywhere for palliative collection, Please, let's be orderly. For those who will want to meet the governor's condition to go ahead with the sharing of the palliatives. More stories still coming from the Nigerian Tribune. Above the nameplate, I have this one which says our forex crisis, freight charges frustrating, federal government's food import waiver policy. Experts are the ones saying this. Fuel to sell at 935 naira per litre from today. Still Ipman. This is appearing on almost all the papers this morning. And it's a good news. Yeah, it is a good news. Then more still coming from the Nigerian Tribune. Real sector growth. That's the kicker. Federal government disburses 16.1 billion naira to 22 manufacturers. This is coming from Wale Edun, and the details you can get on page 6. Then this story says NDLEA arrest businessman with 256 wraps of cocaine at Kano Airport. A police fault Amnesty International on Ed Bad Governance report. Details on page 27. Federal government lifts ban on mineral exploration in Zamfara State. Details you can find on page 8. A federal government's 2025 budget lacks capacity to address Nigeria's challenges. This is coming from Atiku. Most times, sometimes you will be forced to say, hey, these statements are coming back to back. Whatever happens from the ruling party, those from the opposition will have to say. But then, sometimes we need to mirror this criticism, all right, very well to see if it is making sense or not, all right? Because as a matter of fact, whether it is coming from an opposition or not, the reality, okay, is what matters. Some criticisms are meant to shape on situations, are meant for learning. We need to learn from some of it. But then, if you're not learning from some criticism and you throw everything away at the end of the day, when you sit down to take stock of everything, incidences, everything that has happened, actions, inactions, you will get to know that at some point in time, there were times that it was necessary to go back to the drawing board. There are times that you feel it was necessary to actually make a U-turn, because it's never late to make amends when it is necessary. All right, that's that from Atiku. Then this one says alleged death by torture. That's the kicker. IGP visits family, directs FCID to take over case. Ilorin Emir demands thorough probe. All right, details of that you can actually find on page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. And that's going to be the size of the stories from the Nigerian Tribune this morning as we get to the next paper. But before we take the next paper, let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll look at some of the papers that we have before us. Welcome back. It is still the newspaper headlines. We're looking at the major stories for today. Now to the Daily Trust newspaper, where we have very interesting stories, and beginning from the big story, which is a star story this morning. It says stampedes kill 230 Nigerians in 11 years. That means a stampede didn't just start today. Federal government lifts ban on mining exploration activities in Zamfara 5 years after. Yoltai, that's the kicker. Airfare skyrocketed amidst operators' capacity crunch. You saw what happened when people were rushing into the aircraft. That I don't know, but then sometimes we'll be forced to ask questions. But people are complaining that there's no money. And you see the rush, despite the fact that there is a hike, all right, in the fare. People are still rushing. Well, that's Nigeria for you, and that's how desperate people are to travel from one location to the other. More stories from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Despite petrol price cuts, NNPCL stations order sell above 1,000 naira per litre. That's it. Despite petrol price cuts, despite the reduction, that's what we keep saying. It's far beyond just announcing it. What are the authorities doing about the situation? Who is monitoring the process? Who is supervising the process? Who is to be held accountable if there is no proper implementation? But then, if it has been said that fuel should be sold for 900 and something and you are selling at 1,000 naira, it is not proper. So the regulatory bodies should rise to the occasion, should do their work, and make sure people who are doing this are being held accountable, and make sure it is being sold the way it's supposed to be sold. Now to this story, which says 2025 budget scrapped Niger Delta Sports Ministry gets 2.3 trillion naira. Two riders to that story. It's embarrassing. This is coming from CISLAC, that is CISLAC. Then the second rider says appropriation bill lacks fiscal discipline. This is coming from Atiku, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election. That's the size of the headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's quickly get to the next point of call, which is the Daily Independent. What's the Daily Independent saying this morning? The Daily Independent has this story above the nameplate, and it says, after 5 years, federal government lifts ban on mining activities in Zamfara State. You remember what happened in Zamfara State, what resulted to the ban, okay, on the exploration, okay, the mining activities in Zamfara State. Not just in Zamfara State, we heard of the situation in Ibadan or your state, the mining situation, the collapse, you know, and so many other things. Some of these miners are not even professionals. Some of the people mining don't even have the license to do so. And these things have resulted to so many things. But then it's so good that after so much, after 5 years, I know the proper things must have been done for the ban to be lifted. And that's a good one for the people of Zamfara State. Stop politicizing stampede at food distribution centers. Federal government warns. Stop politicizing stampede at food distribution centers. This warning is coming from the federal government. Then now let's get to other stories where Serap is asking Akpabio Abbas to cut 9.4 billion naira presidency budget for travels, meals, 344 billion naira NAS budget. Details you can find on page 29. Serap is the one saying that, all right. Food stampede results of pervasive hunger in the land. PDP is the one saying that. A court grants Canadian firm approval to remove teared down controversial aircraft from Arik fleet. Just a rider to that story. Litmus test for Nigeria's Cape Town Convention compliance. That's coming from an expert. Pay local government workers now or resign. Governor Nwifuru tells council chairman. Pay local government workers now. I think all of this is coming as a result of the local government autonomy. Now the autonomy has been given. The implementation happening in a skeletal form for some councils. But then the local government workers have been instructed by Governor Nwifuru okay, that they should pay the workers now or they should resign. If you can't pay, it's better you resign. I think this is a good one. If the governors, before now, it's the local government council chairman that sits on the neck of the state governors to make payment to workers at the local government council, because the payment comes from up there. Now, it is the governor that is saying, hey, local government chairman, if you can't pay, it's better you resign. All right. All we are saying is pay the workers. That's a welcome development. And this should even happen in all the states, including Benue State, including Delta State, Bauchi State, every state. All right. Every state of the nation. The governors should rise to the occasion so that this is being done. A stampede, that's the kicker. Lagos wants show promoters and others, all right, to avert more stampede. Then this one says telcos hing recovery on USSD debt resolution, tax reforms, 5G deployment. All right. Then the last story that I will be taking this morning from the Daily Times, Daily Independent newspaper says, Omokri tackles Obi over stampede death. Details you can find on page 6 of the Daily Independent. And right now, let's get to our next point of call. From the Daily Independent, we are going to the next paper right now. From the Daily Independent, we have the Vanguard. On the Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have a lot of stories making rounds this morning on the papers. And beginning from the topmost part of the paper this morning, I have this one which says, as a matter of fact, it is Edo State as suspended local government chairman resumes today. After a whole lot, they are resuming today. And as a matter of fact, this one says the federal government to review upward 1.5 trillion naira Lagos Calabar coastal highway tax reform bills. Why we insist on withdrawal? This is coming from Senator Ndume. Okay, now to the star story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. How inflation, FX reforms, recapitalization, others shape banking. Very important. Then, still in Edo State, Edo Akwa Ibom governments mourn as ex-minister, ex-defense minister, General Abbey dies at 75. Edo and Akwa Ibom mourn as ex-defense minister, General Abbey dies at 75. 2025 budget bereft of physical discipline. Atiku is talking so much today. In most of the papers you have been talking, all right? But then, these are oppositions and they will always have things to say. But I'll keep saying this. Go back to the drawing board, pick what is necessary from some of these statements, not all as a matter of fact, and make do with it if you know this is going to sharpen and fix some of the things that are not really going well in the nation. All right, now to the next story. Advertising guru Biodun Shobanjo honors in Lagos. Okay, Lukman is unique. This is coming from Okocha, and that's from the sporting scene. Counting the gains of Tinubu's economic renewal by Mohammed Idris. Details you can find on page 27. Some economists are really applauding the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for what is happening. Some persons are saying the economy is picking up a little bit. Some persons are saying, well, we're getting gradually to the light at the end of the tunnel. But then, Nigerians are still waiting for that time when they can actually go to the market and be able to buy what they can eat, right, without going to struggle for palliatives. When you don't get anyone rushing to get palliative, you know that things are beginning to take shape. But then we are hopeful. We are very resilient people as a nation, and Nigerians are actually optimistic, knowing that one day things will get better as we have been promised by this administration. Then this one says a federal government lifts ban on mining activities in Zamfara State. You'll get that on almost all the papers this morning, and that's good. And that's to tell you of how important this is. All right, a lot of people may have been waiting for that ban to be lifted, and so good the ban is been lifted. Abuja stampede, crowd overwhelming, we were swept away, survivors. Well, these are the people that survived it. We just don't want this to happen again. So it's so good that there are conditions given. If you must give out palliatives, these are the things that you must do. The governors have already talked about that. Then you begin to put one or two together and you begin to think about it. Who is at the losing end? All right? The people doing these things, what do they need to do? At least the conditions are not so bad. Okay? Get an ambulance, get a medical team, get security operatives to be available so that they can control the crowd. If you have crowd control system, then the things will not go the way it has gone for the people in Abuja, Anambra, and Oyo State. More stories still coming. We are still on the newspaper review. In case you just joined us, it is Global Television's Global Morning, and we are looking at the national dailies. What are the papers saying? Which story is making round on the papers this morning? Now to our next point of call, which is the Nigerian News Direct. On the Nigerian News Direct this morning, we have Christmas, that's the kicker. Respite for Nigerians as fuel pump price crash nationwide. But then we just heard that some NNPC stations are still selling at 1,000 naira. Why are they selling at that price? After the fuel pump reduction. That's not a good one. I think this should be monitored. Okay, it's so good that respites for Nigerians, at least Suko returning. But then, this is one thing. Sometimes you hear the reduction of price in fuel, but then there is no reduction in fare. All right. So the transport companies should also be monitored. They should be monitored, and NURTW should also make sure that drivers don't take advantage of people traveling, because this season, whether you like it or not, you must commute. You must move from one place to the other. How do we come to the office? It's either you're buying fuel to drive in your own car, or you are boarding a public transport, and all this translates to expenditure. All right. So if the price has been crashed, then it should be all round. Two riders to that story. PMS sells for 990. Okay, that is 990 naira, 935 naira across states. As Dangote, the second rider says, as Dangote showers praises on Tinubu, that's a good one. Then more stories from the Nigerian News Direct this morning. A federal government lifts ban on mining in Zamfara, says illegal miners exploited ban. All right. Oshun 2026, that's the kicker. APC National Secretary, Governor Adeleke Bika, over alleged violence inciting statement. All right. That's that on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct. Then this one says a Lagos boost festivity with 72 hours shopping festival beginning today. 42 hours shopping festival. That's Lagos State. So many things happen in Lagos. Those of you in Lagos, you know, December like this, you hear of trade fair, you hear of sales, you hear of discounts here and there. I don't seem to hear of a lot of people giving discount sales this year. The Black Friday thing is not as pronounced as it used to be in other years. It might be going on, yeah, it might be going on, but then it's not as loud as it used to be. That's for me anyway. You might have a different opinion, but that's what I think. Now, UBA renovates new Lagos Airport departure section. Then on page 2 of the Nigerian News, the rest still talking about the stampede, where it says federal government's governors issue advisory as PDP can blame systemic policies. You can't take that away. Systemic policies, you can't take that away. As a matter of fact, these are things that will need to be may be happening if the systemic issues are not being handled properly. Some persons are saying, don't politicize this stampede, all right? Don't politicize it. These are just good-hearted Nigerians, as the case may be, trying to help. But then, if you must do anything, what is worth doing is what's doing well. So the measures should be put in place so that we don't have further occurrences. This one says 2025 budget. Atiku set up demand cuts, criticizes high deficit. Details of this you can actually get on page 8 of the Nigerian News Direct. And of course, that's going to be the size of the headlines on the Nigerian News Direct this morning as we go to the next paper, because I'm about paving way for the AM news, which is going to be coming on your way at 8 a.m. But then before we go for the break, let's look at the nation's newspaper and see what is happening in the nations. NNPCL, Dangote in petrol price war again. All right. Petrol price war again. Let's quickly look at that and see what is actually happening. All right, as a matter of fact, so many things are happening, but the prices of commodities is one thing that you can't take away, whether you like it or not, because as a matter of fact, so many things are happening, and one of the most amazing thing is the fact that Nigerians are looking at so many issues, because if you look at the situation right now, you will know that a lot of people are expecting so much, all right, so much from the federal government. And the federal government, in turn, is also doing their best to make sure things actually go on very smoothly. But then, when you talk about nation building, it's the responsibility of everyone. And that's the reason we'll keep saying this, that like the fuel price now, the cut in the fuel price should be all run. It should be on board. Everyone who is selling, that this is not the right time to take advantage of people, because a lot of people, okay, are even struggling. It's not like people don't have, but people are just trying their best to make sure everything go on smoothly, and everything is done perfectly the way it is supposed to be done. But then, if you want to take advantage of people because you have the opportunity to do so, it will not be good. This is our country. This is our nation. If someone doesn't even have enough, you should be able to at least say, okay, I'm going to get you fuel, all right, so that you can travel. So if individuals and the federal government will try their best to reduce this hunger, this hardship, to at least provide a little relief to the people, why maintaining 1,000 naira pump price when it has been said, well, it should be sold for 900 and something? That's not the best, especially when it is coming from NNPCL. And then, you know, these are things that we need to look into so that at least we can help in nation building. Well, at this point, we will go on a quick break. This is going to be the end of the newspaper analysis for this Monday morning. You can pick a copy of any of these papers that is of interest to you and go through it for more details. We have brought you the major headlines, the star stories, at least to kickstart your day. Now it will be time for the AM news, which is coming up at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock. And after that, we'll return for the first conversation for the day. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and this is Global Morning. We will return after this break. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Niconsat. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Defense Headquarters to ensure total elimination of banditry activities in the Northwest Zone by the end of 2025. Minister of State Defense Bello Matawalle stated this while addressing supporters of the All Progressive Congress APC in his residence in Gusau, Zamfara State capital, noting that President Tinubu is very concerned with what is going on in the Northwest Zone, particularly Zamfara State. The former Zamfara State governor stated that President Tinubu gave orders for effecting procurement of military equipment such as armored personnel carriers, warplanes, and other sophisticated weapons in this zone for successful fight against the terrorists. Matawalle further told the party supporters that some of the war vehicles and planes have started arriving in the country, with an appeal to the people of Zamfara to extend their support and prayers to President Tinubu's administration for the success of the reform agenda. A chieftain of the Social Democratic Party and the party's presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Prince Adewale Adebayo, has highlighted the need for rehabilitate the political class, tracing election rigging to them in Nigeria. He stated that when the political class is populated by decent characters with integrity, a lot of the problems associated with politics and politicians would be solved. Adebayo also spoke on the issue of a rotational presidency, emphasizing that if it must achieve any positive result, it should be at two levels. He noted that much as it is good to rotate it according to the geopolitical zone for the peace to reign among the elite, it must also be rotated from the elite to the people for growth and justice to happen in Nigeria. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP has called on President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, to slash extravagant budget allocations for the Presidency and National Assembly. SERAP insists these figures reflect unnecessary spending that could be redirected to address Nigeria's growing budget deficit and improve public services. The budget presented by President Bola Tinubu and the Senate passed the 49.7 trillion naira restoration budget for a second reading on Thursday after various deliberations. The agency's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare expressed the organization's concerns, stating that any proposed unnecessary spending by the Presidency and the National Assembly would amount to a fundamental breach of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. A legal framework for the regulation of corporate social responsibility practice in Nigeria is on the way following the submission of a report by the House of Representatives Committee on Corporate Social Responsibility chaired by Professor Lilian Orugbu. The report followed the reading of a bill for an act to regulate corporate social responsibility and related matters. The bill seeks, among others, to establish the Department of Corporate Social Responsibility within the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, with offices in all states of the Federation. The federal government has allocated over 6 billion naira for the renovation and rehabilitation of the residential quarters of President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and some of their aides in the 2025 budget proposal. The proposed allocation contained in the 2025 appropriation bill presented to the National Assembly showed that the annual maintenance of the presidential villa would go up 5.49 billion naira. The renovation of the president's quarters at the State House will cost 6.39 million naira, while the renovation of security quarters, auditorium, gymnasium, and presidential aides quarters will cost 49 million naira. Former Minister of Defense and Interior Affairs, General Godwin Osagie Abe, is dead. Abe, who was also a former military governor of Akwa Ibom State between July 31st, 1988 and September 5th, 1990, and Rivers State between August 1990 and January 1992, died in Abuja on Saturday after a protracted illness. Edo State Senator Monday Okpeholo has mourned the passing of the late general, whom he described as a legendary son of the state. Okpeholo, in a statement made available to newsmen in Benin City by his chief press secretary Fred Etwa, said as a revered military officer, administrator, and statesman, General Abe's life was a testament to discipline, dedication, and service to the nation. Barely 3 days to Christmas and New Year celebrations, many Christians living in the northern part of the country have expressed fear of terror attacks in states plagued by violence and terrorism. The situation had dampened the festive spirit of some northerners, forcing many families to reconsider their plans for the season. Multiple bomb explosions had killed 3 persons, including a child in Bassa community in Shiroro local government area of Niger State last Thursday. The explosions were believed to be landmines as they went off while children played on their way to the farm. As Nigerians prepare to celebrate Christmas on Wednesday, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress and workers across the country have appealed to state governors to clear minimum wage arrears, salary differentials, and pay 13-month salary. The union leaders made the appeal in light of the severe economic hardship and soaring cost of foodstuff, which has placed an unbearable strain on the masses. They noted that settling these financial obligations would go a long way in easing the burden on employees during the festive season. The country has been grappling with a relentless rise in prices of goods and services before the federal government signed the National Minimum Wage Act of 70,000 naira into law in July. The Nigerian police force has dismissed allegations of extrajudicial killings made by Amnesty International in its report, describing claims as false, misleading, and damaging to the image of the force. The report dated November 28, 2024, accused the police of extrajudicial killings during the #EndBadGovernance protest, claiming at least 24 people were killed in 6 northern states. The report has been refuted by the police, who asserted that their findings contradict Amnesty International's allegations. Addressing a press briefing on the matter, force spokesperson Muyiwa Adejobi stated that a special investigative panel had been constituted to verify the claims. The People's Democratic Party North Central Zona caucus has tasked Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang to secure the support of PDP governors to help bring the party's national chairmanship to the zone. A member of the caucus and immediate past national publicity secretary of the party, Kola Olugbondiyan, told newsmen that the zone would wait for feedback before making any nominations for the February National Executive Council meeting. Olugbondiyan also revealed that the recent Zona caucus meeting held at Ibro Hotel in Lokoja, Kogi State reviewed all PDP-related issues affecting the North Central Zone. Plateau State Governor, former Senate President David Mark, and Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki, along with other North Central leaders, urged fellow leaders and geopolitical zone to restore the party's chairmanship to their zone to complete its tenure. The federal government has earmarked a total of 960 billion naira for the maintenance of the country's defense aircraft and the purchase of security equipment across the various sectors in the 2025 fiscal year. The agencies procuring these equipment include the Office of the National Security Advisor, the Department of State Services, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Police Force and Nigerian Immigration Service, amongst others. Although not explicitly stated in the proposed 2025 budget, the allocation of these amounts could be linked to the government's commitment to bolstering national security amid persistent challenges such as insurgency, banditry, and cyber threats. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a businessman identified as I Just Got Back returnee for attempting to smuggle cocaine into the country. Femi Babafemi, the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, shared videos of the seized contraband on X.com. The suspect, who had just returned from a foreign trip, initially raised suspicion due to his nervous demeanor. The agency's officials subjected him to a routine screening, during which wraps of cocaine began to fall from his body. The All Progressive Congress APC in Imo State has welcomed a wave of decampees from other political parties during a ceremony held at the party secretariat in Owerri, the state capital. Global Television correspondent Amarachi Ibe was there and now reports.
Speaking at the event, Governor Hope Uzodinma expressed delight over the new members, describing their defeat as a testament to the growing strength and acceptance of the ruling party in the state.
It is a very positive development for our party. Of course, we are indeed very happy that we are being vindicated, and performance also, according to what they said, has encouraged them to take this bold decision. In Imo State, we are particularly very happy because the major political players are now coming into our party and is clearly becoming a one-party state.
The chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC in Imo State, McDonald Ebere, reassured the decampees that their decision to join the party was the right one, promising that they would not regret their choice.
On behalf of the leader of our party, the governor, I'm most humbly and most respectfully assuring you people that coming into our party today was the best decision you have made. You will not regret coming into our party. So I want you to bring everything you have on the table to support the government.
Responding on behalf of the decampees, Chuman Naji thanked the APC leadership for the warm reception and pledged to contribute positively to the party's growth and success.
Every one of us that are here, we are convinced that we are in the right place and that we are here to add value. We are here to make our impact. So I want to thank you, Mr. Governor, for admitting us and for making sure that you devote this day for us to join you in the growing of the party.
The event was attended by key APC chieftains, with the formal reception of the decampees being the highlights of the ceremony.
I hereby admit you into our great party, the All Progressive Congress. In the name of God the Father, amen. God the Son, amen. And God the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. When AM News returns, Governor Eno of Akwa Ibom State says enough is enough for those he calls portfolio farmers. Details of these as well as foreign and sports stories coming right after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umo Eno has said that the state government will stop what he described as portfolio farmers in the bid to achieve food sufficiency in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And while responding to questions from journalists at the Government House in Uyo during the Akwa Ibom State Government Ministerial briefing and end-of-year review, said portfolio farmers are those who present themselves as farmers without owning any farms, but apply for agricultural loans and other facilities meant for genuine farmers. The governor explained that a food security committee would be constituted to monitor the activities of farmers in the state. In business, as Nigeria grapples with acute cash scarcity, fake naira notes are increasingly finding their way into circulation, particularly in cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The crisis, which has been worsened by the high demand for cash during the Yuletide season, is leaving Nigerians vulnerable to fraudulent currency transactions. The situation echoes the Naira's crunch triggered by the Central Bank of Nigeria's controversial Naira redesign policy ahead of the 2023 general elections. Since the misadventure, Nigerians have been going through severe pain accessing the Naira bills. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has emphasized the critical need for Nigeria to expand its revenue base to meet the aspirations of citizens. Speaking at a stakeholders engagement on the House's activities for 2024, he highlighted that increasing revenue is essential for expanding the country's infrastructure. Tajuddin also introduced a new initiative to increase transparency and communications between the House and the people, announcing that the Parliament would hold stakeholder engagement with Nigerians twice annually. The Speaker further noted that 11% of the bills sponsored by members in 2024 focus on infrastructure, but emphasized the limited role of the legislature in directly driving infrastructure development. Less than a month after the Port Harcourt Refinery Company appeared to have resumed production, the facility has stopped working according to reports. It was observed that the lifting of premium motor spirit, also called petrol, had stopped since December 13, as the 18-arm loading bay of the new Port Harcourt Refinery was empty, while about 18 trucks littered the stretch of the busy road leading to the refinery itself. 9 trucks were spotted inside the parking yard while the loading bay was empty. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says the 60,000 barrels per day old Port Harcourt refinery remains fully operational. Chief Corporate Communications Officer, NNPCL, Olufemi Soneye, in a statement denied the information about the refinery not functioning, adding that the loading is ongoing. Local authorities say Cyclone Chido has killed 94 people in Mozambique since it made a landfall in the East African country last week. The country's National Institute of Risk and Disaster Management says 768 people were injured and more than 622,000 people affected by the natural disaster in some capacity. Chido hit Mozambique on 15 December with winds of 160 meters per hour and 250 millimeters of rainfall in the first 24 hours. The same cyclone had first wreaked havoc in the French Indian Ocean territory of Mayotte before moving on to Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. The International Monetary Fund has approved a $1.1 billion disbursement of to Ukraine as part of a 4-year loan program aimed at providing budgetary support. This decision comes amid continued Russian aggression and follows the IMF's recent review of the program, which has an overall value of $15.5 billion. In a statement, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva acknowledged the severe economic and social impact of the conflict on Ukraine, praising the country's authorities for maintaining macroeconomic stability through skilled policy making and external assistance. The Pakistani Taliban have claimed a brazen overnight raid on an army outpost near the border with Afghanistan, which intelligence officials said killed 16 soldiers and critically wounded 5 more. The siege started after midnight and lasted about 2 hours as around 30 militants pummeled the mountainous outpost from 3 sides. One senior intelligence official who spoke to journalists on the condition of anonymity said 16 soldiers were martyred and 5 were critically injured in the assault. A second intelligence officer who also spoke on the same condition said the toll of the dead and wounded in the attack in the Makina area of Keba Patukwa province. Saxony-Anhalt State Premier Rainer Hesselhoff has said that a car ramming attack on a German Christmas market killed 5 people and wounded more than 200. Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who was with him to pay respect in the eastern city of Magdeburg, voiced concern for some 40 critically injured people and condemned the terrible catastrophe. He pledged that Germany would respond with full force of the law over the terrible attack that injured and killed so many people close to the anniversary of the deadly 2016 jihadist attack on Berlin Market. Scholz also made a call for national unity at a time when Germany has been rocked by a heated debate on immigration and security as it heads towards elections in February. And in sport, the 2024 Abuja Guards Polo Club tournament, which recently came to a close after 2 weeks of exhilarating action, has spotlighted the importance of making sports polo more accessible to Nigerians across all social classes. The competition, which ran from December 4 to 15 at the Nigerian Army Polo Resort in Abuja, delivered outstanding performances and moments of true sportsmanship. Max Air emerged victorious in the Legislative Shield Trophy with a 4-3 win over STL, while FK3 edged out Masako 6-5 to claim the Minister's Cup. The closely contested matches reflected the immense talent within the Nigerian polo scene, but also underscored the limited opportunities available for many young Nigerians to engage with the sports. Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist Ese Brume has provided an update on her injury situation, promising to be back to sporting action in no time. The Nigerian long jump star was involved in a car crash in the United States recently, in which she sprained her ankle and neck. During an interview, Brume said she is recovering fast and will be back to action very soon. 2023-2024 UEFA Europa League winners Atalanta have already declined Liverpool's offer for Super Eagles forward Ademola Lookman. Soccernet.ng reports the 27-year-old forward took his game a gear up this year, leading the Super Eagles to the AFCON 2023 final in Ivory Coast and Atalanta to the Coppa Italia final, where they lost to Juventus. His best individual performance came in the UEFA Europa League final, where he scored a hat-trick against an unbeaten Bayer Leverkusen side to win Atlanta's first ever silverware on the continent. Lookman's brilliance has seen him linked with Europe's big boys, with Manchester United, Paris Saint-Germain and Liverpool all interested in the services of the former RB Leipzig man. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Global AM News. I am Anthony Momodu. Good morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest. The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
It's good to have you back after the AM news. Welcome back from the news of the hour. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course this is Global Television, and Global Morning is live on your screen. I told you that on return it's going to be time for us to look at the first discussion for the day. But then, before we go into the first discussion, where I will have my guest join me, a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst, to add his voice to the conversation. We're talking about political parties and the impact, okay, of post-elections. You know, elections have come and gone, but then the impact you can't take away. So many things happened after the 2023 elections, and not just in one party. The Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, the NPP, then you look at other parties too, ACN, and the whole crisis. Even in the ruling party, the APC, we have about 6 states or thereabouts where there are also internal crises, Benue State inclusive. But then today we want to look at the impacts, okay, of post-elections in Nigeria, and we'll be looking at some of the things happening, especially in the Labour Party. And I will have my guests join me on the conversation. But do you know that so much is happening in the country right now? And one of the things that has made people, okay, to really think twice, to make people remember the fact that the economy is challenging, is the fact that despite the fact that we are going through so much as a nation, we still have people who are losing their loved ones to, this is not a natural disaster, all right? It's not a natural disaster. These are disasters that are being caused by incidents among men. And I'm talking about the stampede. The stampede, when we talk about stampede, sometimes you wouldn't know how bad it is when you don't have your loved ones involved. Okay, the survivors came out this morning to say, well, it wasn't easy. It's not an experience to even talk about in the first place. How many lives have been lost? Then, one other thing that you would want to take into consideration is the fact that there is a statistic coming out to give us the number of people that have actually lost their lives as a result of stampede. Now, we're talking about stampede here. Lives being lost, people being injured. In Ibadan, first of all, where the event happened, then that has to do with kids, with children. Then before we even stop talking about that one in Oyo State. Oh, there was another one in Anambra, then the one in Abuja, the FCT, that has to do with the sharing of palliatives. I tell you the truth, Nigerians are scampering for how they can earn a living, or else, what else? Okay, if not because of the hunger, people won't come out to struggle for palliatives. Though I'm not saying whether there is hunger or not, Nigerians would not go for palliatives, because even I know of mosque, all right, where they share these palliatives, even when it is not Christmas period, when it is not Salah period, they just share it to people, you know, as alms given. Same thing happened in churches too, and even well-meaning individuals and NGOs. We are not faulting the fact that someone is of a good heart and the person wants to give out palliatives to people who are hungry. But the surprising thing is the stampede. What may have resulted to the stampede? Is it impatience? Is it the fear of, I may not get out after the end of the day? At the end of the day, it might not get to me. So what I need to do is just to rush and get one before it gets finished. And the process of doing something like that, it resulted to stampede, and lives have been lost. A lot of people lost their lives. But then I think one of the things that was in the papers this morning is the fact that the state governors, all state governors, they are now given guidelines. If you must share palliatives at all, if you want to give people things, because already some persons have bought those materials, all right, the foodstuff, the oil, the rice, the indomie, the noodles, you know, the spaghettis and all of that. Some persons may have bought them, clothing, wrappers, and they would want to share these things by all means, good and fine. But what do we need to do so that we don't have more stampede, so that we don't have more people lose their life? All right, because someone has a good heart and wants to like help people. And that's why the state governors are saying, yes, this is a good idea, this is a fantastic idea, but then there are things you need to do to make these ideas, all right, more fantastic and better. Get medical officers. That's one. Then get an ambulance standing by. All right. Then you should also get security operatives. Okay. Then the way these things will be done should also be orderly. I think this is it. This is it. There are ways these things can be done that won't have stampede, that won't have people lose their lives. You know what you have. All right, instead of doing a public announcement, because it's not all about the crowd. I know of people who share palliatives that what they do is they make sure everyone gets, so there is no panic of it won't get to me and it will result to panic. All right, that people will start rushing, and before you know, there is a stampede. I think these are the things that we need to do. If you know these things will not go round, then the people you are inviting to get these materials shouldn't be too much. Just get a handful that you know this palliatives will go round them, instead of inviting crowd, instead of making announcements. Sometimes you mustn't even make a public announcement. Just get to the orphanage, get to where you do these things to avoid this stampede. Well, that is about the stampede. Now let's get into the discussion for the day proper, and the discussion will be coming up after this break. Do stay with us.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Back from that break, still Global Television, and it is Global Morning. We're talking about the things happening in the polity And we're talking about post-impact of the election, how it's happening. We saw people decamping from different parties to other parties, a crisis everywhere. People couldn't put their houses in order after the 2023 election. And there is a build-up, serious build-up to 2027. You think 2027 is far away? No. It is somewhere around the corner. And right now, the game changers, the game players are already plotting their graphs to see how it's going to go in 2027. But one very important and shocking thing is the fact that the Labour Party, which is supposed to be one of the strongest opposition party, apart from the People's Democratic Party, is beginning to have issues. The issue of Labour Party did not start from today, if you could recall. And of course, a chieftain is making a statement right here. There is a speculation that Peter Obi might even be leaving the Labour Party. It's a speculation anyway. And who is bringing this speculation? This is coming from someone who is very prominent in the party. As a matter of fact, this is coming from Okupe. Okupe said that Obi may dump LP. Okay, he said that after parties post-election struggles. A lot of the parties are struggling right now. I'm talking about Dr. Doyin Okupe, who is a former Director General of the Peter Obi Presidential Campaign Organization, ISTWA. And as a matter of fact, he has said the party's inability to actually build an enduring structure after the 2023 election is responsible for the gale of the defection from the party. A lot of people are defecting from the party. The PDP is struggling, all right, that we know. Then the Labour Party is also struggling seriously. Okupe actually made this statement in an interview that he heard. And in that interview, he was specific and he was pointing figures. He was actually specific as he recalled that no fewer than 6 Labour Party lawmakers recently dumped the party for the ruling party, All Progressive Party. You remember how some of these candidates emerged, and there was jubilation that the Labour Party, at least with the litmus test that they went through, were able to get some persons, all right, from some states of the country to represent the party. And right now, there is a defection, all right, cross-carpeting. About 6 lawmakers dumped the party on the floor of the House of Representatives for the ruling All Progressive Congress, which is the APC. The defecting lawmakers are from very prominent states. Okay, and right now we have that of Imo State, talking about Tochukwu Chinedu Okere of Imo State. Then we have Donatus Matthew of Kaduna State. You remember a lot of people jubilated when Labour Party won this seat in Kaduna State, looking at the nomenclature of the person, the candidate who won this election. And as a matter of fact, as it is, a lot of people are speculating so many things. A lot of people are saying so many things. Apart from that of Kaduna State, we also have also Cross River and Edo also defecting. And this is a pointer. And Okupe Doyin actually went further to say, well, a great number of ordinary members of Labour Party have also dumped the party for the People's Democratic Party and APC. And that's part of the reason some persons are saying, for this struggle, this is politics, for this struggle, some persons are of the school of thought that these parties need to come together and form a merger. That by so doing, they may be able to probably give the ruling party a run for their money, which may not, some persons, some Nigerians are saying, may not be very easy to do, looking at the situation on ground. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people are speculating so many things. But then, looking at what is happening in Labour Party now, what do you think will happen? The truth is this, a lot of people actually voted for the Labour Party because of the individual behind that party. you know, and that is the person of Peter Obi. The question now is, what happens if Peter Obi leaves the party, as it is already been speculated, okay, by Dr. Doyin Okupe? Well, let's go on a quick break. When we return, I will have my guests join me, as I will be asking him this first question. What do you think will happen if Peter Obi leaves the Labour Party today? That will be after this break. Stay with us. Yes, talking about the struggles that is coming after the 2023 election, taking a cue from the Labour Party. What do you think will happen to the Labour Party if what Doyin Okupe is speculating happens? Already about 6 House of Rep members have defected from the Labour Party to the ruling party in the House there. Now there is a speculation that Peter Obi might, it's a speculation, leave the Labour Party. I have my guest joining me in the studio right now, and he is Monday Eje. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst as we look at political parties' impact of post-election struggles. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, thank you.
It's good to have you on the program today. As a matter of fact, the struggle you can't take away. The struggle is not just Labour Party. We're actually looking at Labour Party because of what Okupe is saying. And you know who Okupe is in Labour Party, as a matter of fact. The PDP, People Democratic Party, the APC, the ruling party, and other parties also have their issues. But one of the parties that their crisis is amazing is the Labour Party, looking at the force with which they came out in 2023, and Okupe is coming to talk that 6 House of Rep members already left, and if care is not taken, Peter Obi may be leaving too. What do you have to say about that statement coming from Okupe?
Well, I think just to quickly address the issues, the 6 members of the House or elected representatives from the Labour Party that left actually left because of the need for political survival. You know, the worst thing that can happen to a man, to any human being whatsoever described, is for you to grow and within a short while to drop and disappear into thin air. So I think there's this survival instinct in man that is sufficient enough to drive them to take such decisions. And they had it on a platter of gold. I'm not surprised they tried. I thought they would have done this much earlier, because if you know the politics of the National Assembly, you will understand that it's not easy being in the minority and being in National Assembly. You will get almost nothing. you will get almost nothing. The GUC appointments, committees, and all of that, even your sitting position might be tiring to you if you are from, and which party are we talking about? We are not talking about PDP. We are talking about Labour Party, which is one of the minors in the minority in the opposition. So at the end of the day, I won't blame them. I would rather blame those who think that they cannot play by the rule of law anywhere they find themselves. And that has been what is plaguing the Labour Party. You know, simple, basic internal democracy is what is lacking. And once that is lacking, there is nothing that can hold a political party together. I think the situation is the same thing we've been having with all the other political parties. Somehow, you mentioned Bruno Okupe when I came in now, and I can tell you clearly that Bruno was one of those who was in PDP, now Labour Party. I think at some point there was stories about him going back to the APC. Apart from him, there is this other man I've been trying to recall his name. He was also there. He joined from PDP. We've not been hearing his voice. So, you see, Nenabi Usman too, he wasn't originally of the Labour Party. And there are so many of them who just felt that Labour Party is a comfort zone. They should just harness themselves and see what they can do from Labour Party. I think that's the marriage that brought it to bear. But the crisis that has currently climaxed into what we are seeing today has been on since 2018. And unfortunately, those who brokered the agreement, INEC and others, Abure and Apapa and others, that reached certain understanding with which they moved on with respect to, they saw prospects and decided to sheath their sword. That was what they did. People are coming, let us not make our party rowdy. Let's see if we can come together and then, and the cookie crumbles, subsequently. So these are just basically the issues. The issues are still ongoing. Who will become eventually the party chairman, regardless of the recent decisions of the courts with respect to Abure. I'm still aware that I don't know. Maybe the Callisto litigation that was at Supreme Court has eventually been decided or ruled upon. But whatever the situation is, I think there are major crises, there are issues there. And if up till now, regardless of the efforts of Peter Obi, these issues have remained unresolved, I'm afraid he will have to leave. Because the way these things work, if he remains there, and then one court wakes up one morning and says, Abure has been doing, maybe Abure remains, for example, they go into the primaries, he emerges as the presidential flag bearer for them, and one court just wakes up one morning and says, Abure, you have been there all along. You are not supposed to be there. Your staying there is not proper. What happens? It knocks off the base of his presidential ambition for the second time. Because if you consider the arguments, the back and forth with respect to whether or not the Congress or convention of the party was legal or not legal, and whether or not what happened in Abia was legal or not legal, and so on. There are arguments for and against here and there, people referring to their constitution. You know there is a problem. Yeah. Because Abure's leadership, for example, still has issues. Whether or not they said by their constitution, if the chairman dies, the deputy takes over. Abure wasn't the deputy. Abure was national secretary. And somehow they gave him the saddle of power to. So these are the issues. And then somebody says, even if the deputy chairman is not available, deputy national chairman is not there, there's an assistant chairman. I'm supposed to be the assistant chairman. And then people like Apapa and Co. and Callistus started running around here and there. And then the arrangement came, let us conduct Congress. And you have Abure telling us that I conducted Congress recently. The agreement they had, that led to the Congress, that because that Congress cannot stand on its own. You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So on what was it standing on? It was standing on the arrangement that they had. And what is the arrangement? The arrangement is within 1 year, conduct a Congress. Start with the world level, come to the local government level, then to the state, before you do national. But the reverse was the case. So you now have Abure conducting Congress or convention from the national level. And as I speak with you, none has been done for the state, none has been done for the local governments, none has been done for the world. Then who are the delegates that elected him?
All right, who are the delegates that elected him? We're talking about the struggle right here. That's just a snippet from the Labour Party. But why do we see political parties struggle? This is not the first time. And we're just talking about the Labour Party. It's not just the Labour Party. There are other parties too who are also struggling. Why this post-election struggles? Because during election, you see every mojo, you see every strength. But by the time they don't emerge, you see the struggles happening. This is not the first time that it's happening, okay? And not just the Labour Party, but other parties too. Why do we have that?
You see, whether they win or they didn't win, the struggles will still be there. And you will see these struggles more in parties that appear to have prospect. NNPP, what do you call it, Labour Party, ABGA, PDP, APC. These are the parties who feel that they have some form of life. Because ABGA has one state, Labour Party has one state, they have 4 members in the National Assembly. What do you call it? PDP has like 12 states, if not more or less. APC has, so these parties feel that they have prospects. Now, to be a national chairman of a party is a big deal. Particularly of a party that you hear these skirmishes and problems and issues and brouhaha here and there in parties who don't have prospects. They are just there, they are quiet. There are other parties, you know, but you will not hear them tell you they have crisis, because who is there? What are the prospects? So basically, whether they win or not, the issues will be there. There will be different camps, different caucuses, along different lines or different ideologies, and each of them feel that, each camp feels that we should be in charge of this party. So that creates some form of internal contradiction of things. And when you have that, ordinarily speaking, there are modalities already, the party constitutions are already there to solve these problems. But you know that in this country, people don't do the right things. Things that work in other climes don't work in this country. That's the unfortunate scenario we have. So, like one politician said recently, and you know, everybody knows that, it's not just the politicians or the political elites or leadership that have issues. The followership too, they are a big problem to the system. So, if people don't want to do the right thing, for example, one party will tell you, oh, we are conducting direct primaries. We are not using delegates. Each and every member of our party is going to decide who will be the flag bearer. My brother, I can tell you categorically, that's the biggest fraud that has ever been done in the political history of this country. Because the people will be there on the queue. Nothing. Who organizes? Who coordinates it? Where are the ballot boxes? Where are the papers? Where are the voters register for members? Have you seen anywhere they say, oh, these are the political party members of these political parties word by word contest casting votes for a particular flag bearer? No, they just sit somewhere and write the results and announce that that is what came from the field. In fact, the delegate system, where you see them in a central venue, in queues, dropping their votes in, I think it's called, is the open secret ballot, dropping their votes in the box. After that, they count in full public glare. Journalists are there, cameras are there, announcement. That appears better for me. Though theoretically you say direct primaries should be more democratic, because those at the grassroots are now being given the opportunity to. But the fraud there is they will not conduct that thing. It is easier for those in charge of the party to bring on board those that they want by just going somewhere. We saw that sham kind of primary elections in Kogi not too long ago, in Kogi not too long ago, and we saw the drama that happened. So these are the issues. They will not do what the Constitution requires them to do. So if they are not doing it, if for example, when the national chairman of Labour Party passed, they allowed the Constitution to be supreme by making the next man after him occupy that position. We won't be discussing these things about Labour Party. And what are we even talking about? Oh, Abure, you had our support at some point in time. Now you no longer have our support. Me and NLC are not supporting you. You have not been transparent and accountable with respect to the activities of the party. Please step aside and this and that. These are the issues. These are the issues. This is a party that is supposed to be, that people are saying supposedly won the election in court, and that they were rigged out in court.
But as it is right now, one thing is very, very vital here, and that's the preparation for the merger, the collaboration, you know. But then, someone said something, a guest said something here. He said the APC seems not to have an opposition right now, as it were.
But they don't. There is no opposition. In fact, Tinubu is sleeping, he's enjoying his presidency, and he knows that if he's going to contest again, it's a free thing for him. Look at Imo. Imo was not an APC state. It was only the governor that was APC when he started. Today, everybody in the House of Assembly, they decamped overnight, and then that was all. And as we speak, consultations are going on. People are jumping ship into the APC. And here we are, all the, all the members that defected that we are talking about, their states are being governed by the APC. So what they simply did is to join the bandwagon, join the ruling party. That is where the chop I chop is. So they join. Maybe they have been promised automatic primary tickets. Nobody knows. But my president was on the floor of the National Assembly when he was presenting the budget, and he said all of them are
elected.
So re-elected
2025.
So what are we talking about?
2027.
There is no opposition. No opposition. In fact, at some point, some people just felt, oh, Peter Obi is not talking, he's not doing this, he's not playing the opposition, and they compelled the man to start talking. And then sometimes he talks and he gets criticized, and like this Stampede issue. Every issue he has ever spoken against played out one way or the other when he was governor of his own state. And you expect that kind of person. What kind of opposition, what kind of voice do you think he will have, ordinarily speaking? Because when you say this, they will tell you, oh, this that you are complaining about also happened when you were governor of a state.
But talking about the Stampede now, right, that has been in the air for a while now. The Stampede of a thing, it wasn't intentional, but then you feel something can be done to actually curtail that? Because this is not the first time it's happening, like you are making reference now.
I think is already becoming an well, it's not elder, but he's still quite young, but he just came out to say, oh, I'm retiring from politics. I'm no longer a member of this party again, so that I can be free to speak the way I want to speak. Now, there are two forms of criticisms, basically. the objective one and the subjective one. Now, if we put that in perspective, objective simply means, oh, you are not taking sides. You look at the good side, you look at the bad sides, and then you make suggestions and recommendations. The subjective one is the one that focuses on what you feel, what you think. It's you. You are not analyzing it for your own interest, the interest of your person, of your group. The perspective from which you speak from is the benefits and otherwise that what you want to achieve it, whatever it's, that's the subjective one. That one is destructive criticism. It's not constructive. Now, what politicians do all over the world is destructive criticisms. They don't do constructive criticisms. So that generally, all over the world, all over, even in the United States of America, all over the world, what they do is destructive criticism. They just pick a policy and slam it and slam it and slam it and give you all the bad sides. Even if it doesn't have a bad side, they will tell you it has a bad side. They will paint a scenario of a bad side. They will speculate. They will pontificate evil and negativity for that policy, law, or decision. That is how politicians speak. If not, a stampede is not something that is deliberate. Even those who organized the events where these things happened did not organize it or organize them for the purpose of gaining stampedes. What happened just happened because people were in a rush to take benefit. And then somebody stands up and says, because you want to do opposition, you are now saying it is the federal government that should be blamed for the stampede. I don't understand that. And then in one particular state, they are even arresting the people who are carrying out charitable ventures. I don't get it. It doesn't just make any meaning to me. So it is not everything that happens we politicize. You must not tie it to a political party or a particular leadership or this or that or that. People like free things in this country ordinarily, and there's nowhere they don't even like free things. Even in the United States, they have arrangements for free food, free things every year and there. In UK, they have it where you buy things. But the difference between those climes and here is that there, the people are organized. If somebody walks into a market space or a supermarket or a warehouse meant for the poor, for the needy, where things, even if this cup is, for example, 10,000 naira, they say, oh, whatever you pick here is 1,000. When they go, they pick only what they need for that moment and they walk out. You can't do that here. One man will enter there. One trader will go in there and mop up everything and then put them in their stores and cap it up with huge retail prices. The same thing they did when Bua was saying, oh, let's crash the price of cement. And then the man said, oh, it's going to be XYZ amount. And the supplier and the dealers refuse to cut down prices. That's the same scenario that plays out. This country is a very, very funny one. Things that work everywhere don't work in this country.
That means a lot of people who are blaming the government shouldn't be blaming the government because if you look at it from some perspective, it means everything, majority of the blame, everything doesn't go to the government this time, if you want to think about it.
No, not everything should be blamed on the government. But it's not as if the government is perfect. It's near from being perfect. In fact, there are 1,000,001 things to say against every government part time. Properly, constructively. There are issues, that you can say, oh, for example, major policies, forex policies, economic policies, all of these issues, what we do on our borders and so on, at our borders and so on and so forth. You can raise issues, the employment procedure, what is happening there and all of that. Even though at the end of the day, by the time you bring your analysis from top bottom, you place it somewhere. Because as the chairman of this organization is not here. It's not in this place. It's not the one teaching you what to do right now here. You are applying a whole lot of discretion based on the scope of this particular conversation. It's the same everywhere. I'm here now doing this analysis. My family is back at home. I'm not there, but I expect that they do the proper thing. I don't know everything that is happening there right now. The same way the chairman cannot know everything that is happening in this organization right now. So it's the same with the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that's why you have the ministers, you have the PAMSECs, you have the directors, and so on and so forth. The only thing that we continue to say is, look, if there's a particular area that you as a president observes, you analyze, you have given them a goal, you give them a target, and it has not been met, change the hands. So if hands are not being changed, then we blame you.
So all this can be tied, okay, to impact of the struggle, all right, that is going on right now in political parties. Finally, before I let you go, these struggles, is there any way it can be avoided or minimized, as a matter of fact?
The only time we can have our problem solved in this country is if we, the citizens, decide to do the right thing.
And not focusing on the political parties that are struggling.
At the right time. Well, the political parties, are they not made up of the citizens of this country? They are not doing the right thing. That's the reason why we have what we have. We should bring down a little bit, the attention we pay to the self and give little room to some form of patriotism. If we cannot do that, then we are in trouble. Year in, year out, I just heard on my way here, I don't know if it is right or wrong, I was listening to a particular radio station and calls were coming in, and somebody mentioned that there is a particular agency, or I think ministry or so, or department that has been scrapped. But in this budget proposal, monies were allocated to that particular scrapped agency or something. I think it's the Ministry of Niger Delta or something they mentioned. They said it's in the budget. So what am I saying in essence? Those who prepared that budget didn't do a good job of the budget. And the president cannot read all of that budget and vet them. They will just bring it to him to go and present. He will present.
All right. As a matter of fact, our time is up right now. We're able to talk about political parties' impact of post-election struggles. Part of the reason, according to my guests, why we are where we are today is because individual and self-esteem and what will I get as a political party members have overtaken the universal reason why these political parties have been formed. Thank you very much, Monday AJ, for coming on the program today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. Hope to have you some other time again.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to look into the second conversation, where we'll be looking at a state of the nation assessment of grassroots governance. We'll have a consulship aspirant talk to us via Zoom all the way from Benue State. Do stay with us for the second conversation.
morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and
on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
is still the second discussion on Global Morning today, this beautiful Monday morning. Well, we want to talk about something very important, state of the nation. Everyone knows what is happening right now. First, they said, well, it is supposed to be a discussion coming from the local government autonomy. That's one. Some persons believe that bulk of the political assignment governance begins from the grassroots. Some other persons are of the school of thought that whatever happens at the top translates down the ladder to the grassroots. But then, these are different perspectives and different school of thought. In the actual sense of it, there needs to be one before you count two, and there need to be two before you count three and grow up the ladder. But as a matter of fact, we have so many things going on, okay? We have so many things going on in the country right now because the politicians that we have, some of them, majority of them, especially people at the House of Representatives who have constituencies where they are representing some, not all, so that someone don't hold me to it. Some of them don't even get back to the constituency. Before you see them again, it's the next time they want to do elections. But then, that's one aspect of it. That's for the House of Representative members. What about people from the Senate? That is even at the top. Let's get to the proper governance, how it is being done at the council level. So good, fantastic, beautiful that we now have the local government autonomy being approved. But then, the approval of the local government autonomy, some persons have accepted it in good faith, and some people are saying, well, the implementation is not total yet. As a matter of fact, let's just look at what is happening from the grassroots. The councillors themselves, who are the first point of contact to the people at the grassroots, how are they carrying out their assignment? This is the problem. Before now, the problem that we have is that Nigerians believe these persons are being put there by some people from the state. And that's the state governors, where you have a lot of people being elected into the... no, they are not even being elected. And that's the reason the federal government said before the local government autonomy allocation can get to the council, the chairman must be duly elected, because we had several states dealing with caretaker committee, people installed by the state governors. Now, what about people? Nigerians were saying the governors are the ones deciding what happens at the council level. What about the councillors? Somebody who has been voted by people at the grassroots. How are they governing the people? Because a lot of times people blame the presidency, people blame the people at the House of Representatives, the senators, and the governors. What about the grassroots politics? That's where the bulk of the politics is. Because these people are the average Nigerians who voted these councillors into the office. If we want to say maybe the state governors, the House of Rep, people at the top, okay, maneuvered their way into the offices. What about people that are elected at the grassroots? How are they faring? How are they treating the people? Are they now becoming tax masters installed by people? See, some Nigerians have said it is not all about the autonomy, but then the person to whom the money is going to directly, how clean is the person? That's the problem. That's one of the things that people should even think about. Local government autonomy, fantastic. But what about the councillors? What about the chairmen? What about the people to whom this money is going to? Are they not people that are already used to how it do play out when they were local government chairmen? Do you think these persons will not indirectly still be answerable to the governors, even though the money is not coming straight from the government's accounts, now directly from the federal government? What about the person in the office? What about godfatherism that happens at the grassroots? These are some of the things that we should be looking at. These are some of the things that we should be considering if we want to talk about grassroots governance. Because a lot of people undermine so many things, overlook so many things. But then, if we say this is government of the people, for the people, and by the people, how many councillors? I'm not even talking about the local government chairman. You need to see what some councillors do, okay, in their wards. Some of them looks at themselves as semi-gods, and throughout the 4 years, there are councillors that will not even carry out one single project. Not even a transformer, as the case may be. Because I know of local governments, I know of wards, I know of councils where they have been in darkness for only God knows when. Not that they don't have lights, the wires, you can see the wire, you can see the bulb, you can see everything. But then there is no power flowing through it. And that's where we look at these issues. Before you get into the office, the manifesto, the way, see, this is the reason we are saying this. Attention has been shifted, all right, from the grassroots and to the top. We feel these things need to flow from the top to the bottom. What about flowing from the bottom to the top? Who is holding who accountable? Who is going to say my constituency, my ward needs this, my ward needs that? Or they just get the little they get from there and they are satisfied. They don't care about the people anymore. So sometimes when people talk about government, it amazes me because it is surprising to me sometimes when I hear people talk about things from the local government council. Our time is fast spent. We are supposed to have our guest join us all the way from he is an aspirant, okay, Otukpo Township Ward 3 councillorship aspirant. He's supposed to join us this morning, but we had some technical issues and our time is already up. We can't bring him up anymore. Subsequently, we could have him talk to us. If you find out the reason why some of these persons even contest for these positions, is not because they have the people at mind. Okay, look at Benue State, for instance. Someone has contested election. Someone, because you know there was problem in Benue State, the APC problem, the faction, where there was faction, the Agada faction and all of that. And the case was in court. And at the end of the day, the court's ruling has reinstated the state chairman. But then the election that went on, he didn't have hand in it. So many things happened. And we have different candidates coming from the faction, different candidates coming from his own faction. But now, what do you think will be done? And that's where we said a lot needs to be done at the grassroots before we even come to talk about the presidency, the governors, the House of Reps, and even the senators. Because if the grassroots is not in place, then we won't have anything reasonable, all right, to present to even the people at the top. Because you can't hold someone accountable when your hands are not clean too. So we need to be very, very careful before we even select who is our councillor, all right, who is our local government chairman. How do we vote for them? The state assembly, how do we vote for them and all of that? All right, as a matter of fact, our time is up. We can't take more, but then it's so nice that we had you on Global Morning from the beginning until now. But then, whatever you do as you go about celebrating this Christmas, make sure you are careful. Mind your association, the kind of vehicles that you enter. Be the security of your immediate environment. Thank you very much for staying with us on Global Morning today. My name is Ramsey Enoch. A beautiful good morning to you, and bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories. The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.